For your barbecue pulled chicken sandwiches, you're gonna need your pulled chicken, some coleslaw mixture, a jalapeno lime, some red pepper crema, potatoes, a Southwest spice blend, your buns, and then some oil, salt, pepper, and a little bit of sugar. We're gonna start with some washed and dried potatoes. And actually what I've done here is, you see, I kind of have these larger ones and the smaller ones. So these smaller ones, I'm just gonna cut into quarters because you want everything to kind of be the same size when you're cooking them. So as you can see, there's a really big size difference between these two. And so for these larger ones, I'm gonna cut them in half, and then I'm gonna cut them into thirds just to kind of, you know, even everything out. So you just need to make the judgment call on whether your potato is small enough to just be cut in half or large enough to be cut into thirds, and do that with all of your potatoes. I placed my potatoes onto a foil lined baking sheet, and my oven is preheated to 450 degrees. And I've put that the rack in the top rack position. And I'm gonna take just a teaspoon of this Southwest spice blend and sprinkle it on top of my potatoes. This is just like some cumin and coriander and other spices. And then it's gonna need some salt and pepper. Potatoes you can kind of liberally season with salt, and then some oil. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna toss these all together to make sure that everything is evenly coated, and then put them into the oven, and they're gonna roast in the oven on that top rack for about 20 to 25 minutes. All right, next up, we're just gonna go ahead and halve and quarter our lime. No zesting this time. We're just using the juice. And then we're gonna be using a jalapeno. And so I'm gonna cut the top off. And again, if you don't like a lot of spice, we're gonna be cutting these into thin rounds. If you don't like a lot of spice, you can go ahead and you can remove this white middle. That is where all the heat is, in the white ribs and the seeds. So if that's not something that you want to include, you can go ahead and just cut out that centerpiece and just leave the bright green part. So I'm just gonna do this with the rest of the jalapeno. I am choosing to leave my jalapenos whole because I enjoy the spice. I added my jalapeno to my bowl with a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. And then all I'm gonna do is I am going to juice half of my lime. And so we're just making a quick kind of pickle again. This lime doesn't have a lot of juice. I even tried rolling. Sometimes if you roll the lime before you cut it, it will help get some juice out. So there wasn't much there. I might use a little bit of lime juice that I have in my fridge. But then you're just going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of salt, and then stir this all together, and that sugar will start to dissolve as the jalapenos release their juices. As always, when working with jalapenos, please make sure that you wash your hands really well afterwards, because you can burn yourself. We're gonna make our slaw, and we're gonna start by just putting in one of the contents of the smoky red pepper crema. So you're gonna save the other half for later, and then we're gonna add our bag of coleslaw mix here. This just has shredded cabbage, carrots, and some shredded purple cabbage. Then we're gonna add the remaining juice of our lime. And again, if you find that your lime doesn't have a lot of juice like mine did, you can add a little bit of extra lime juice. I like things kind of limey. I like a lot of citrus. So, I mean, there was next to no juice in that. So I'm actually using some of this Key West lime juice that I have, and I'm just adding a little bit, but this is really your preference. You can also zest the lime if you wanted to get more of that lime flavor in there. And then we're gonna add some salt and pepper. And then just give this a good stir to get all that crema incorporated into the coleslaw. So that crema, it's just a sour cream that would have some like roasted red bell peppers in it and maybe some smoked paprika. And so that is gonna be our slaw to put onto our sandwiches. So my potatoes are in the oven and they're almost done cooking. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep my buns. So these buns have been pre-cut, but they don't slice all the way through. So I'm just gonna go ahead and like take my knife instead of ripping them open. You know, you don't wanna accidentally rip. And you can see that there's like the natural cut that they made. And just open them like so. And this next step is totally optional, but just to add a little extra layer of richness, I have about a tablespoon of butter that I melted, and I'm just gonna go ahead and brush the tops lightly of each of my buns. And then these are gonna go into the oven. They can go into the middle rack right underneath your potatoes for about 3 to 5 minutes. For our chicken, we're gonna go ahead and start by putting a drizzle of oil into a pan. And then we only use 1 teaspoon of the Southwest Spice Blend. And so I'm gonna go ahead and add the remainder of this. And we're just kind of gonna like lightly toast these spices and give it just a little stir and just cook this for about 30 seconds until nice and fragrant. So now to my toasted spices, I'm gonna add the entire packet of this pulled barbecue chicken. This chicken has been cooked all the way through, so it is a ready to eat product. So all we're doing is trying to reheat it right now. Okay, so we're gonna add this with all of our spices. And then we're gonna add some of the pickling juice from our jalapenos. You can add as much or as little as you like. So it has that lime juice, some of the jalapeno seeds, and some sugar. So just start with a little bit. And then this is just gonna cook, you know, for 2 to 3 minutes until everything is nice and heated through. At this point, my chicken is heated through. My potatoes and my buns have come out of the oven. And so now you just need to assemble your sandwiches with some of the pulled chicken, some of the slaw, and then top with some of these pickled jalapenos, and serve with the potatoes on the side with a little bit of that leftover smoky red pepper crema.